Right, let's get this. Oh, I know what I need to do. Alright, let's check if that is working. Alright, yes, it is. Great. Right, let me just tell everyone that this link exists. Hello, Perry. Right, okay. I think we can get started then. Welcome back to Tier 3. This is Season 13 now, and we're at Round 2 at Mount Panorama. So last round we had the Red Bull Ring, and Wack came out on top better than anyone else in the first two races. He's taken an early championship lead in his McLaren. We have a very different challenge this week. Well, it's a high-speed circuit first of all, so quite a long time at full throttle, especially in between after turns 1 and along the back straight. But yeah, really tricky hilly section as well, which obviously you don't get. Some very difficult corners to navigate. So yeah, let's go through the grid then. We've got Nectar lining up the rear. He is in. What is he in? He's in the GTR Nismo, so expect a bit better from that car, but it did get a couple of little nerfs towards the end of last season. Lining up next to him is OG Moose King in the Dodge. He managed to qualify P3 in the last round, so much worse qualifying for him this time round. And then we have our championship leader having an absolutely dreadful qualifying again. He's down in 14th. He's yet to qualify in the top 10 this season. So he'll be needing to sort that out if he wants to put up a championship fight. They have Jamie in 13th. He was very unlucky in the last round. He had a disconnection when he was in the podium positions in the sprint race and couldn't really recover in the feature either. We have G Dan making his season debut in 12th. The Dutchman moving up from tier 4. He's in the AMG 20, so should be pretty good, but he's only managed 12th here. They have the second Dodge in P11, so not a good track from the Dodge, it seems, at least early on here in the season. Then we got Tap in the Peugeot RCZ in 10th place, managing to just pop himself into the top 10 there. He'll want to be making improvements in this sprint race. Then we got Pagel in P9 in the Toyota FT1, I think that is. So yeah, not too bad for Pagel. Pyro P8, he had pole position last week, so he's back down on a dry track, a bit more in the mid pack there. They have Tap's teammate in the other Peugeot RCZ, JMS Play in P7. Major is in P6. In the Corvette, he did pretty well in the opening round as well. Oh, also, JMS wanted me to say whether I thought he was a championship contender or not. So he needs to be qualifying a bit higher than that. He had a pretty average first round, but yeah, could potentially be in it, but he's not one of my favourites, I've got to say. Then we got Higgsy in P5. Higgsy's another one who had an absolutely dreadful opening round, but he managed to pop it into 5th in qualifying. Much better performance for Higgsy there. Hurricane in P4 is in the Toyota there. Excuse me, so another fairly decent qualifying for Hurricane. I know he was practicing a lot for this one. Geordie up in P3, got a post-race penalty after Austria, so he dropped a few points because of that, so he'll be wanting to have a clean one this time. CCK, also known as Cameron, is lining up on the front row, another one who didn't do too well at Austria, so much better performance for him. And Woozy, who we saw have a fairly strong feature race, I think he was 4th in the end. He's managed to get pole position here, so I think we will be starting right about now. So let's see what this sprint race has in store for us. Standing start around Bathurst. It is dawn, so it's going to get lighter as time goes on. and we're off. It looks like Woozy got a fairly bad start, to be honest. It looks like Cameron has a really good chance getting around, well, getting past him there around the outside, but Woozy managed to hold onto the lead, but there's all sorts of spinning going on. I think we've got to rewind and see what happened there. That did not look too good. Let's ride on board with Hurricane. I'm not sure if he was one of the victims. I know Cameron definitely was. See, Cameron trying to go around the outside, goes a little bit wide, and it looks like Hurricane spins Geordie and Cameron around. It looks like they're going to be all the way at the back. It looks like G-Dan had a problem as well, and Pagel is the last of the starters. But let's watch the cars go down the hill. It looks like Woozy has a comfortable lead, and Hurricane just ahead of Higgsy and Tap there, who's managed to work his way up from 10th to 4th after a great start. Major and Tap now battling. Looks like Major managed to get past Tap at that corner. Then Pyro up into P6, GMS Play into P7 as we head into this really tight corkscrew uphill corner. It's sometimes you have to go down into first gear depending on your car to take it. We've got Whack. It has recovered from 14th to 8th already, and looks right on the back of JMS, who hits the wall a little bit there. And then we have Jamie and Kanata rounding out the top 10. Pagel's losing the back of the pack a little bit there, and then these guys have a huge recovery on for them if they want to work their way back into the top 10. But crazy things can happen, not for Woozy though, and Hurricane. Then we got Major right ahead of Higgsy and Tap by the looks of things there. Hits the wall, Higgsy, as we're going down the hill now onto the next little corkscrew corner. A little bit easier to take, but Tap is struggling on it and hits the wall. He's going to lose all sorts of momentum, so we're going to ride on board with Tap because he's got a great opportunity on the longest straight, potentially of the season, that we're on now, if you include the kink that is coming up, because it is flat out. Now Tap's going to go around the inside here. Is he going to be fully ahead before the corner? He is, so he's going to be able to use the width, but he decides not to, and he brakes quite well. And now we've got a McLaren trying to overtake a McLaren there. Whack jumps right on the back of Pyro. He had to back out of it and has lost a bit of time now, but he'll be wanting to make some quick work of these guys. Nectar from P16 all the way up into P9, so he's had an incredible first lap, as the guys around behind him have been having a bit of a nightmare. What's happening a bit further back, we've got Geordie, Cameron and G-Dan are only at the chicane towards the end of the lap there, as it's we're on the darkest part of the track here because the sun is coming up behind that grandstand, so that's why it's pretty dark. There we go. So let's go back to the front and see. It looks like Hurricane's closed the gap quite a lot in the first couple of corners to Woozy, and he might have a chance of getting a race win here, Hurricane. It's been a very long time since he's won a race. I think we're going back 3 or 4 seasons now. But he is, yeah, tackling this. Oh, I spoke too soon. I was going to say he's tackled the uphill beautifully up until that corner, but now he's clattered the wall and he's got some damage. Luckily, he's got a bit of gap behind him to Major, and you know, driving with damage around the hill isn't too bad compared to other parts of the track because it mainly impacts you. It does impact your turning and your braking a little bit, but it really impacts your speed, and we should see that damage disappear right about now, just as he enters the back straight. There it goes, it's gone, and you can see the gap between Hurricane and Woozy has been minimized. It's probably 3 seconds at the moment, I would guess, maybe 2.5. Then we got Major in third, quite a way ahead of Tap, so there are definitely some gaps forming as we head onto the back straight, but Kanata might have an opportunity to get past Whack Jams here, because now we're in 6th gear. This is when the Dodge starts to fly. No, he wasn't close enough though. Whack does take the exit pretty poorly. He lost traction on the grass a little bit there, and now Kanata's right up the back of him, so we're going to stick with this battle. Kanata's thinking about a dive bomb, but that is would have been very ambitious, and he loses a lot of time because the car is all out of position. There's really only one way that you can take that corner, and that's using the optimal line. So far we've got a fastest lap from Woozy, a 2-minute 8.5. We know these guys can probably go at least half a second quicker than that, so we're expecting the times to tumble, especially because we've only got ×3 tyre wear here. Let's go. Oh, looks like we've got a nice little battle between Nectar and Jamie. Actually, Pagel and OG Moose King are right there as well, so it looks like we've got a nice battle for P9 as we head into turn 2. Pagel's trying to get past Nectar, and it looks like he's managed to do it there. But Nectar's kept it, and he's got the inside line for these next 2 corners, has Nectar, and that pushes Pagel into the wall slightly, and he's not going to be able to navigate that corner. And now he's actually been caught with his pants down a bit there, because OG Moose King's got past him very easily up into P11, and just 1 position separates OG Moose King from a reverse grid pole. If he could pick 1 more driver off between now and the end of the race and avoid getting overtaken himself, he could wind up with reverse grid pole, which is a huge advantage to have. The difference between 10th and 11th only being maybe a second here, but it would means 10 place difference on the grid for the crucial feature race that's coming up. OG not negotiating the hill section. The Dodge is pretty difficult to do on the hills. It's not a cornering car. As you can see there's a lot of understeer going on, and that means that Moose is potentially going to become under pressure from Pagel. However, I'm not so sure, because that Dodge has a great engine on it. What's going on further up on the grid? Is anyone caught up? No. Hurricane's still a fair way behind Woozy as we're going to cross the line and finish our second lap. We're already over 6 minutes into this 15-minute race, and Woozy gets the fastest lap again, a 2:04, so he shaved 4 tenths, I should say, off of his fastest lap there. It doesn't look like anyone who's crossing the line has managed to better that. Pyro might have a little run on tap here though. 2 MR cars. MR does not like hills either. It shreds the tyres, which might be a problem in the feature race for these 2. However, it's just a bit more difficult for MR cars. The weight being at the front really benefits, especially on the downhill section, the FR cars. Keep looking at the front, not at the back. What's happening at the back? Well, we've got Cameron still at the back. JMS has made a mistake somewhere, so yeah, strike then. That is another one for not being a championship contender. G-Dan's had a big issue at somewhere as well in the opening couple of laps, and Geordie's recovering to 13th. But then we get onto, well, the kind of main pack for the midfield. Moose is much closest to Nectar again, so he's managed to close the gap somewhere. Ooh, he moves to the right a little bit too early there before the braking zone, and got a little bit out of shape on the entry into that really tricky downhill corner. Now, this could be very close as we head into the chicane between OG Moose King and Nectar. OG's definitely got a really good run on Nectar right now, and he's going to go for it. He's got the inside line. Oh, he has to take the curbs, and he bumps Nectar a little bit and just slots in behind him. So not the cleanest corner from either of them, but they both survive. But this has created an opportunity for Pagel, who's going to go really late onto the brakes into the final corner, manages to avoid Nectar in front of him and steal P11 from OG Moose King. Now he's got a run on Nectar, who lost a lot of traction outside the corner, and he gets a bump draft from the car behind from OG Moose King, who's going to slot behind Nectar into turn 1, and Pagel is all of a sudden up 2 positions into P10. Like I said, the crucial P10. Nectar's dropped out, and now OG Moose King's going to have to try and get past Nectar right now if he wants a chance, but he's decided to go for the bump draft instead. Not sure I would have done that, and he's not going to have enough time to have it. Yeah, he's not going to be able to get the move done into turn 2. I think that was a big mistake from OG. He could have got the overtake done quite easily there on Nectar, I think. Let's see, anything happening a bit further up. Everyone's gapped a little bit, but Pyro has managed to get past Tap and Kanata somewhere. I think we need to rewind and see. Okay, let's see. This is a very unusual place to for Tap to get overtaken here, so I'm wondering if he had some sort of mistake. So we head into the hairpin, downhill hairpin, left-hander, goes very wide, hits the wall, and Pyro just sweeps through, and Kanata is going to take him as well. There we go. And Pyro's not giving Kanata any can't even speak, slipstream there, because he knows the dodge is fast enough without it. So he kept in tap slipstream, but it wasn't enough for tap to pull alongside or anything. And Pyro's up into P4 now. So let's go back forward. I think we were round about here. And yeah, it's still pretty close between these guys. But yeah, that very impressive move there by Pyro to stay close enough to tap to take advantage of any little mistake that he made, and that's how you make progress in the sprint races. Higgsy doing pretty well there in 8th still. Wack hasn't been able to keep up with this group ahead. I know Wack didn't have the opportunity to practice too much, and that is kind of showing because he's not up there like he was last week. Higgsy, again in the top 10, we saw him in the top 10 in the previous round, but he had incidents, you could say, in both, and yeah, just didn't score many points last week at all, so he's looking to rectify that now. Jamie managing to, well, hoping to get his first sprint points of the season as well. And Pagel is up pretty far off the back, but look at this group. Even Geordie started to catch up to this battle for P10. He's only a few seconds behind in the Corvette there. Wax made a mistake somewhere. Higgsy has closed the gap massively. Now we could see a move into turn 2 here. We'll have to keep watching these guys. It's definitely taking advantage of the slipstream. Might not be enough. No. Problem is the Mercedes doesn't have great top speed, so overtaking with that car is fairly difficult. You have to have just be right up the arse of the car in front if you want to get enough slipstream to get the move done. Very good in the corners though. People were saying before the season that the Mercedes was the best car to have. It was at the top of a lot of people's lists. Always one of the first to go since it came into ALR. I think it's still the most recent Group 3 car to be released. Right, let's see. How's Woozy doing at the front? Actually, wasn't Hurricane first? No, he wasn't. Woozy's still in first, with Hurricane second and Major in third. Still some gaps. Pyro is starting to get away a little bit from Kanata, but he took the hairpin pretty atrociously there. You could hear him hit the wall on the way out. But Kanata's going to probably be able to get close here. And then if he nails the last two, well, the final corner and the first corner, he'll might be able to get an overtake on Pyro done. As we head into, is it potentially the final lap? I can't remember. I think it was 7. I think it was 7 laps this race. Yeah, Kanata's right behind Pyro now. He just needs to nail turn 1 and he'll probably get this move done quite comfortably. Pyro looked like he used the full width available to him to get the best exit, and now obviously he's going defensive. Kanata's going to have to try a move. Well, actually, he could go either way, and he's going down the inside. Pyro's not giving him a lot of room there, and that allows Pyro to just take the corner much better than Kanata, and he's going to have to be patient once again. I think it was Tap behind who hit the wall a little bit there. Pyro gets the hairpin all wrong. Now it's going to be a drag race up the hill, but Pyro just manages to muscle Kanata out the way, and he keeps the position. He's clinging on to P4 now. And it sounds like he's hitting pretty much every wall on the way round, but he's still got a bit of a gap on Kanata, and it's kind of growing as we finish the uphill section. We start going downhill now. Most crucial corner of the lap we've just gone through. Very long braking zone, but you don't brake for the entirety of it. It is downhill. You can gain so much time if you really nail it and get the angle right onto entry as well. Now Pyro managed to get a much better exit from the second corkscrew hairpin on the track at the bottom of the hill, and has pulled quite a gap here from Kanata. So Kanata's obviously going to start reeling this back in a little bit, but Pyro's got some breathing space here. I think we might actually get an 8th lap in. we've got 45 seconds left. We should comfortably get an 8th lap. So yeah, an 8-lap sprint race. Kanata, this might be, well, this will be a second to last chance for Kanata to get the position off Pyro. He doesn't look like he's close enough. Well, he did get a better exit there. He is closer to Pyro than he has been for some time. But it's probably not going to be enough right now. Flat is the fastest time, so no one's managing to get into the 18s in Sector 1. Let's have a little look. Tap is right on the back of it as well, so if anyone makes a mistake out in this little battle, it is going to be game over for them. A little bit further back, we've still got Higgsy, Whack, Jamie, and Geordie's worked his way up into the top 10. That's a great comeback from Geordie if he's going to potentially be starting the reverse grid on pole position now. G-Dan has recovered pretty well. Pagel has had some sort of error, as has Nectar, as has Moose and Cameron, and JMS has already finished his race there. Absolutely terrible result for JMS, not even getting the final lap. It's a very difficult track though. It's one where you have to, I think driver skill does determine the winner of this one a lot. More than other tracks, because you've got to keep it out the wall, you've got to do overtakes, you've got to follow people in very tricky circumstances. You're starting in the dark. It's still not that bright now because it's quite cloudy here. We've got Woozy rounding the final chicane as we head into the last turn of the lap, and he's going to take a great victory here. Obviously he's quite used to winning, usually wins most seasons that he takes part. And he's round the final corner in that Nissan GTR. Very solid drive for Woozy, takes the victory. Hurricane, best result in quite a while, takes P2 there, and Major in P3 for his second podium of the season. Pyro has kept Kanata at bay, takes P4 ahead of Kanata, and Tap in P6 after his mistake dropped him a couple of places. Now we've got Higgsy getting his first sprint points of the season, P7. Whack Jam's P8, so ended up getting overtaken by Higgsy there. Geordie managed to get another position, P9. G-Dan starts on reverse grid pole in P10, gets the final sprint race point. And then unlucky for Pagel, Jamie, who was doing, well, he was in the top 10, fell outside. OG Moose King just couldn't keep the consistency. Cameron had a nightmare after qualifying on the front row, and I didn't get who that last one was. I think it might have been Nectar. I don't know. So yeah, that's your sprint race. Great result for Team Nissan getting the win there. Right, let's find this feature race. That's not Whack. I've clicked on the wrong one. Oh dear. So, as this is loading, I might as well explain what the feature race rules. So the feature race is a 40-minute race. The top 10 from the sprint race are reversed. The tyre wear rate is ×6 as opposed to ×3 in the sprint. So I'm hoping that we see lots of interesting strategies here. Now, where is Whack? Because he is the one who shared it. Let's go to replays. That'll make it easier. There we go, finally. But there's a lot more points on offer in the feature race as well. So 15 points go to the winner of the sprint, and 25 go to the winner of the feature. Every place down to P15 gets points as well in the feature race. But if you want to find out more about the points breakdown, there is a table in the rules, so you can access the rules through the website or through Discord. There is a #rules channel. So let's get this replay up and coming, and we will have a look at the tyres that everyone has picked as well. So on pole position, Gdan starting on mediums, Jordi on soft, so he'll want to get past Gdan instantly. Same with Wack, expecting to see a few cars attempt the soft, and the McLaren having one of the best tyre wear cars out of Group 3. I think that this and the well, there's actually a few that have really good tyre wear, but the McLaren has the speed as well around pretty much every track. So he's on the softs, mediums for Higgsy, softs for Tap and Kanata and Pyro, mediums for Major, Hurricane, Woozy, softs for Pagel, mediums for Jamie, softs for Moose King, Cameron, Nectar and JMS. So majority softs here. Let's get going. We've got two of the championship contenders in P2 and P3 here. You've got to say it's Jordi and Wack Jams. So they've got a great opportunity to really cement that themselves at the top of Tier 3 in this early stage. As we head into Turn 1 for the first time, no one should be really close enough to get a move done, but let's have a little look down the grid to see anyone made any big mistakes. Looks like Jamie might get put under pressure a little bit from OG Moose King here. Moose having to go around the outside as they drag race down, but Moose is going to get the slipstream from the car in front as well, but it's just not enough actually against the BMW M6 of Jamie there. So let's go back to the front and see what's happening. So no opportunity yet for Gdan on his mediums to kind of try to pull a gap. He might end up bottlenecking the whole field here. Jordi doesn't take the uphill section too well. He's lost a lot of time there to Wack Jams. Let's see if Wack can get any closer. Oh, Wack's off. Whoa, look at all this behind him. Oh dear, it looks like Tap's gone off, and he's and he's got back up and running, but that's down into P12. Let's rewind this because this was reported to the stewards. So let's ride on board with Tap because he's the one that came off by far the worst there. So it looked like ahead when we were riding on board with Wack, he just clatters the inside wall right in this next corner here. He's going to go off track. And yeah, and then he rejoins. There's hardly any space for him to go into, and then everyone had to slam on their brakes, and Wack ends up spinning, and he slots in right in between OG Moose King and JB, and yeah, it's all a bit of a mess down in Tier 3. So yeah, that's with the stewards. I won't give you any hints as to what we've decided with that, but yeah, horrible start for Tap. And that promotes, well, we've got Woozy here drag racing Hurricane down the back straight, and we've got Pagel, who is Hurricane's teammate, giving him a nice little bump draft there, getting him fully ahead. I'm not sure Pagel will be able to follow him round, no, because we've got this kink. If it was a straight line, he would have, and that's, oh, it looks like someone's made a mistake ahead. Look at all these. There's no space for anybody. Hurricane's off. It looks like he span. Oh, what's happened here? This was potentially reported as well. So we got Wack Jams and Kanata battling. Kanata just goes off track there all on his own. He's got half a wheel on. It looks like Gdan went off as well and rejoined and caused all the havoc behind. So one more rewind. Let's just see what's happening with Gdan. He was already off track. Oh dear. Whack off. Oh, he got pushed off. Jordi pushes Gdan off, takes the lead of the race. Gdan's in the gravel. That's how bad it was. He's getting overtaken by everybody here. And then, oh, he just, yeah, no, you can't do that. You can't do that. We don't have ghosting this season, so you have to make sure that you're very careful rejoining the track, because if you rejoin like that, people will come out worse. And yeah, Gdan's down in 10th. Hurricane is all the way in the back. Something else has happened here. Oh, what? Let's see. Oh, he gets pushed off. Oh, this has not been a good season so far for OG Moose King. There's Tab slowing down, so yeah, that was also reported to the stewards. Okay, let's go back to the front where we've got a bit more normality. So Geordie's got a huge gap already on Higgsy, who's now up into P2 after all that drama. Pyro's in P3, benefiting massively from that, but he's got a huge queue of people, major P4. Then Woozy is in P5, just holding off Whack Jumps. Then we got Pagel, Jamie up in P8, Kanata in P9 despite his little trip in the grass as well, and Jidan after his being bumped right off track there from Geordie, he's down in P10. And then these guys are going to be quite cut off, especially Hurricane all the way at the back there. Unlucky for Hurricane, and yeah, potentially great for Geordie if he avoids any post-race penalties. You have to wait to see what we say, which should probably be tomorrow, to see how this impacts him. Higgsy has not run as high as P2 all season, so he's got a great opportunity if he could just get his head down, focus, stay out of the walls. Could get a very solid result here today. Obviously he was in tier 5 last season, so this is a big jump up for him, and he's beating 14 other drivers right now. Pyro in P3, a solid P3's actually gapped Major slightly there. Major in P4 in that Corvette, so we got Corvette 1-4 at the moment. Great driving from both drivers so far in terms of pace. Woozy in P5 will want to make some good progress in that other in that Nissan. We've got Pagel P6, Wax 7th. Okay, let's find some good battles here. Let's stick with Jamie because all these cars are so close together that we could see if anyone messes up turn 1. A nice little overtake. Hello Otto. Really wide turn 1 there by Jamie, so I don't think it's going to be him having a run. Actually, it looks like a pretty bad turn 1 exit from Wack. Kanata's got a run. He's going to try and go round the outside into turn 2. He's going to pull ahead by the looks of things. Oh, it's so difficult to go around the outside here, but they both managed to avoid each other and the wall there, and Kanata's got the better acceleration and takes P7 off Wack. Let's stick with these guys because it is really tricky to go around this section of the track so close to each other, and these guys are pretty much 2 by 2, and Nectar gets his way past one, and Wax still, well, he's managed to avoid damage there, which is pretty impressive. All the way back to P12 is insanely close here right now as we head down the hill now. Oh, very wide there from Jamie. He's gonna... Oh, are they going to be able to get past? Nectar's going for it, and he has managed to get past. Jamie's got damage as well, so he's going to be holding up Tap here. And he's going to have damage on the main straight as well. Here's the hairpin as we go onto the back straight. Tap's going to... Oh, it's G-Dan, sorry, not Tap. G-Dan's going to get past Jamie fairly easily here, surely. Jamie's trying to place his car as awkwardly as possible, but G-Dan goes on the inside now, and it looks fairly straightforward for him. But further ahead, we have another battle. Whackjamsalute going backwards again because Nectar's managed to get past him. Nectar all the way up into P8 now. Good little recovery drive at the beginning of this race after a poor sprint finish outside the top 10. Now he's having to go defensive into the final corner, and Whack might get a run on him down into turn 1. He does. He's already got his car partly alongside. Now it's a drag race down to turn 1 as we enter lap 4 of the feature race. Oh, and Whack has to back out there, and he's not going to get another opportunity down this back straight because Nectar had a pretty solid exit out of turn 1, and G-Dan looking to get another position now. Our pole sitter all the way down in P10 already. So the fastest lap is a 3.3. That is not quick at all. Let's see what's happening back there. Oh dear. Jamie and the two Peugeots behind him. You have to try and negotiate each other without causing incidents. they've survived so far. Right, back at... Oh, something's happened back here. Oh, I love it when I accidentally catch something. Right, let's go back. So the Dodge, the Toyota, and the BMW. The Dodge in the wall. And OG just gives that final point to Cameron there. But at the front, it's looking pretty plain sailing for Geordie so far. He's got quite a lead over Higgsy. Both of them, well, Geordie's on the soft tyres and Higgsy's on the mediums. So Geordie's got a few more laps of having the superior tyre before they start going off. This race should be 20 laps, but it might be 19 for the majority of these guys. Depends on mistakes and that kind of stuff. That's so easy to happen. So if it is 20 laps for these front guys, what are you going to do if you're on soft? Are you going to do a soft medium stint? You do 8 or 9 laps on softs and the 11 or 12 on mediums, or are you going to try and do soft to do 10 laps on each? Well, I don't think the Corvette's got the tyre life in it, to be honest. It's one of the worst cars on tyre wear. Unlike the Mercedes, but Higgsy's still gone for the mediums. We haven't seen the fastest lap come down yet. A 3.3 is very slow, even for tier 3 standards, to be honest. I know we saw tier 4 actually go faster than tier 3 in this week. I think the top 2 in tier 4 would have got top 2 in tier 3 as well. Actually, pole position time in tier 3 would have only got P12 in tier 2. So maybe these guys just struggling a bit on this day. Pyro's still a solid P3, so he's got a great chance of winning this race as well, but he's got a medium car not too far ahead of him, so you'd expect Pyro to close the gap over the mountain section to Higgsy and potentially get an overtake done so that he can start chasing down Geordie, because Geordie's tyres are going to go off way earlier than Pyro's will. They're both on the softs, but the McLaren has much better tyre life and the Corvette has much better straight line speed. We got Major in P4, a little bit way back from Pyro. Pagel keeping it solidly on track here in the feature race so far, but he's got Woozy right up the back of him. Woozy was in 5th, so he's lost a position somewhere. And is he going to go for a move? No, he backs out of it the last second, does Woozy. But he might have a good run on the Toyota down the back straight. He does not. Actually, Kanata's probably going to pose more of a threat on Woozy there. So that half move he did on Pagel is coming to bite him in the arse here, because he's got a Dodge bearing down on him incredibly quickly. He's given the Dodge the inside line for the corner. They both make it through. Really good driver there by the pair of them, and they're both going to make the corner with Woozy keep the position. Kanata's definitely got a better exit though. He had to lift slightly because otherwise he'd have ran into the back of the Latvian in front of him. Might be racing with a finish flag, but he is Latvian. Oh, really poor exit there for Woozy. He's going to go backwards by the looks of things. Oh yeah, you can see a bit of damage on his car there as well. Now surely this is it for Kanata. He needs to get into the slipstream. Much better exit from Woozy though. Did anyone do 20 laps? We'll have to wait and see. You'd expect at least, I would say, 4 people in tier 3 to get the 20th lap in. Taking into account everything. Yeah, Woozy's just defending magnificently here on Kanata. Woozy's on the medium tyres as well, which is partly explaining the way that he's going backwards here. And not much that Kanata could do in the uphill section, but he might start to get a bit of a run on Woozy on the downhill, because Woozy's car was a little bit out of shape on the exit of one of those corners. Doesn't take the corkscrew well at all. In fact, he hits the wall. The Kanata has to get out of the way and gets the move done, and you'll be hoping that you can just drive away, but he's given Woozy his slipstream now. Woozy managed to avoid damage there as well. around into the chicane here. Quite a quick chicane. Very difficult because the grass it's so close to the track it leaves almost no margin for error. I thought Kanata was going to dive into the pits then, but I don't think that would have been wise. Two-stopper is not possible. Woozy's managed to do him around the outside there. That's an insane move. Let's go back and watch it again. How has he managed to do this? He's just been much braver on the brakes. Decides to squeeze Kanata so much that he can't get on the throttle and gets the move done. That's an absolutely fantastic overtake there by Woozy. And he's got a better exit out of turn 1. And I'm wondering if the tyres on Kanata are starting to fail him slightly. He's got plenty of tyre life left, but they are under 50%, so we might be approaching the crossover period for when the softs stop having their advantage on the mediums, and that might be why we're seeing Woozy taking these corners much better now. See anything happening a bit further up. Kanata's had his hazards on for some reason. So how is Geordie's lead doing? Where can we see? You can just see Higgsy in the very far distance. So quite a big gap right now between Geordie and Higgsy. Geordie in cruise control on these soft tyres. Quick tyre check on him, and his rears are doing the worst. But they're not too bad. He's got at least another couple of laps in him, I reckon. But if he's going to try and do a soft, that 10th lap might be a huge struggle. Higgsy's on the mediums. He's got absolutely nothing to worry about with his tyres. Actually, it looks like he's closed the gap a lot on that mountain section. So maybe Geordie's starting to struggle a little bit there. Pyro's tyres are actually in a worse condition than Geordie's somehow. In terms of his most worn tyre at the rear, that'll be a brake balance decision probably that Pyro's made. Or maybe it's just the MR car struggling more than the FR car up and down the hill. Pyro doing very well here though, you've got to say. Major in P4, quite a distant P4, kind of on his own. Pagel isn't too far behind, so as long as Major doesn't make any major mistakes. Hey, Pagel's tyres are also pretty dead, so he'll struggle to keep up with him over this next lap or two. We've got Woozy in 6th. Pretty good tyres on his medium medium tyres on his car. Kind of starting to fall back like we were saying. And maybe Nectar could catch Kanata because his car has much better tyre life, that Nissan GTR. We know it's got fairly good tyres. Maybe this recent updates that this car's had might have reduced its pace but made it more competitive over longer runs. Pyro's still with the fastest lap, but not in the 2s yet. No one's in the 2s. Jidan in P9 after his big excursion off track. Wack is just going backwards at the moment. In P10, he's not got too much tyre life left on the rear. He might struggle to do a soft if that's what his plan was. He's got Jamie not too far behind him now as well. Hurricane down in 12th. We saw him all the way at the back after a spin on lap 1, and he is on a recovery now. Did so well in the first race as well, getting P2 behind Woozy there. Yeah, Otto, you're right. This is miles apart from the... let's see what's happening with Higgsy and Pyro. It looks like they're pretty close together. Yeah, Mount Panorama and the track that we got next week, Saint Croix, are incredibly different. So we're going to the... probably the lowest speed configuration of Saint Croix. The track B reverse layout configuration. It is very wide and smooth, yeah, very good roads. And you can mount the curbs a lot more as Pyro loses it a little bit from out of the final corner, but little twitch, nothing to worry about. As we head into lap 9, let's see if anyone's actually going into the pits. It doesn't look like it. Everyone is, well, we're at the end of lap 8 here for these guys, and no one is going to try and do 12 on the mediums by the looks of things. So everyone's doing one more lap. Yeah. Yeah, so because the completely different characteristics of that track, I think it's quite lower tyre wear. The pit lane is incredibly short as well, which, oh, big mistake there from Geordie. Around the hairpin, and that's going to allow Higgsy to really close the gap, and Pyro isn't too far behind either, so this is now a battle for the lead all of a sudden, because Geordie must have lost at least 2 seconds there, going incredibly wide, having to hoik his car back into the direction of the corner. So I'm anticipating next week to have a completely different running order in terms of car performance, and hopefully see maybe 1 or 2 stop strategies. People in the feature race going soft, 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 because I think it could work. I think it could work, especially if you pit early, you get out of all the traffic, and you undercut everyone. So this is where the Corvette is the strongest. We're on the back straight. The Corvette, once you hit 6th gear, just doesn't stop accelerating, whereas some cars, a lot of cars have kind of a limit where they start to really struggle. Not the Corvette. It's already going 277 kilometers per hour before hitting the braking zone there. Incredibly quick. Potentially the quickest point of the season. We're at Monza, but the straight at Monza, I don't think you can get that high. Same with Fuji. There's a long straight, but you don't really get into 6th gear for that long before you brake. So I don't think some cars even go into 6th gear. We'll have to wait and see what's going on a little bit further down. Someone is coming into the pits. Looks like that is... oh. Is it Pyro? He was down in 4th, so something has happened to Pyro. Let's ride on board. So he's coming into the pits. He did slow it up in time. He spins it in the pits. Oh dear. And he's trying to reverse into the pits. The game's going to say, you're not allowed to do that. You have to carry on. Oh, I think we need to watch that again. That was beautiful. Oh dear, Pyro. Yeah, that was appropriate. So Pyro's been counter 1 for the season. He's down into 5th place. He's lost a position to Major. He's lost a position to Woozy. He's going to have to do another lap on completely dead softs here, and he's not going to get the undercut that he wanted. I don't know how you managed to spin it there when you're going that slow. That was embarrassing. Right, Nectar's got a run on the Dodge of Kanata in front of him. Nectar's got pretty good tyre life as well, and he's in the Nissan GTR. So yeah, the Nissan really loving its tyres around this track. Kanata's on completely red rear tyres. I think this is potentially going to slow Nectar up a lot, but he might actually get the move done already. They're going side by side up the hill. Oh, Pyro's hit the wall. Oh my god. What? Yeah, that's not how. That's yeah, this wall there. That wasn't the corner. And he puts Kanata in the wall because Kanata has to get out of his way. He's got full damage. He's got fully red tyres. And G-Dan's going to probably try and pick off both of these two, who have an absolute horror of a lap. He's got a great run on Kanata here, but he's having to back out because the track's just simply too narrow to get a move done. And Pyro's race went from solid top 3, potentially undercutting the top 2. Oh, I think we've missed Geordie. Dropped down to P3. Oh man, hold on. Let's stick with these. Let's see what happens, because I have a feeling that it's not even over yet for some reason. And then we'll find out what happened to Geordie. Oh, nearly. No, G-Dan survives. They are line astern, as you will, and I reckon we're going to see them all bombing into the pits. Higgsy on lap 10, pitting gonna get off his mediums. These two obviously going into the pits is right. Let's see what happened to Geordie. So he's losing it. His tyres are almost completely dead on the rear, which is why he lost it there, and he just lost P1 very easily. And now here comes Major. He's got front bumper, rear bumper, and front left suspension damage, and Major's just gonna not have any patience for this whatsoever. Major on the mediums, they are teammates, so there's probably going to be some team orders here. Geordie just gets out of his way, yeah, and lets his teammate go through. Geordie's probably kicking himself. He's just lost his damage now, so he can get going again. So great news for Higgsy. He inherits the race lead because the guys around him, Geordie and Pyro, have just had the worst. Just both forgot how to drive. Oh, Higgsy nearly spun it as well. He hit the wall and his car slid, but he made it into the pits. And now we're going to see everyone diving into the pits. Woozy all the way. Well, he's got a great opportunity to get a P2 here. Our winner from the first race, because he's really close behind Geordie and Major after all of that. Nectar P5. G-Dan is carrying on for another lap. He is the only one trying a little bit of an alternate strategy here. So he takes the race lead. Pyro's in the pits. Jamie has carried on as well. So Jamie and G-Dan, they're in different teams, but they are trying to do the same strategy. What about everyone at the back? Everyone's in the pits here. Pagel is carrying on. He is going for the undercut. So he's had a full lap on fresh soft tyres, which he's going to try and do. I guess he's expecting it to be a 19 lap race if he's pit that early to put on soft, because I don't think his car would be able to go 11. It looks like he's got ahead of Geordie, so Geordie's nightmares put him all the way down behind Higgsy and Pagel, and he's got Woozy right next to him, and Tap is back in the action. Has Tap pit? Oh dear. We're definitely not getting to 20 laps. This, man, I wish Tier 2 was like this. Tier 2's driving was like, if there was instance, it was like the tiniest bit of contact. These guys are spending more time in the walls. Oh, poor Geordie. He's had a nightmare, and then he gets rear-ended from someone he shouldn't be anywhere near on the track. So if Tap did box early, he's I don't know if he did. I don't know what he's doing. Maybe he's trying a two-stop race. But if he did do that, then he's managed to get a really good undercut on a lot of drivers. Major's all the way down at 10th right now. So he's put... Yeah. Oh, yeah, Tap's definitely pitting again. He's got a quarter tank left. Pyro down in 11th after his dramas. So he's on an absolute recovery drive. Kanata's come out quite far behind these guys, down in P12. JMS actually not too... Well, he's not too far off the main pack now, so he's recovering, and he's in P13. Whack Jamps, I don't know. He's probably quite happy that I haven't spent too much time on him today. Hurricane's recovery drive is not going too well, down in 15th, and Moose, I don't know what's happened to you either. So let's ride on board with G-Dan. He's trying something completely different here. I think he's going to go on to the softs now. And he's going to try and hope that he doesn't come out too far behind the guys that are behind him. Jamie comes in as well, and I think we're going to see Cameron also come in. So this should mean that Higgsy is going to take the lead of the race, and this will be the first race that he's led in such a high tier. He only joined last season. He was in tier 5, putting some really solid pace together. Not always the best consistency, but did get some race wins, and definitely is proving why we decided to bump him up 2 tiers here, as he's the leader quite substantially, with Pagel up into P2 after his undercut. Woozy's up in P3, Nectar's in 4th. Only a little, he's done great out of the pit street sequence. Nectar, he's up in P4 ahead of Geordie and Tap. I have a feeling there's going to be round 2 between Tap and Geordie here. So Geordie's going to try and move around Nectar, actually, around the outside. And Nectar holds the inside line, and they both make a little bit of contact, and now Tap's just got past both of them. Oh, Tap hits the wall a little bit. Oh, and Tap goes wide into the hairpin, and both of them get back past him. Let's watch that again. That was a little bit. This ended up getting reported to the stewards, so you'll have to wait and see what ends up happening here. So we're riding on board with Geordie. He bumps into the back of Nectar, who bumps into the back of Tap, and that's why Tap goes wide. So you'll have to wait and see what the stewards decide out of that. That brings Major really close to them. He's in P7 now, Pyro P8, Kanat in P9. G-Dan quite cut off down in 10th. He's going to have a lot of work to do to get a good result out of this feature race after going a little bit too long. Unfortunately, the overcut doesn't really benefit you around here. But the tyres should come back to him on the last couple of laps, and he should be able to make a lot of time on these cars in front, especially someone like Pagel, who, look at his tyres, they're already a little bit worn now. But he's got Woozy to worry about a little bit more than he has the opportunity to close the gap onto Higgsy, especially with Higgsy having fresher tyres than him. Nectar is still in P4. Tap's managed to get past Geordie up the hill. Geordie doesn't have any damage though, at least. We're going to see Tap and Nectar, the two Americans in the tier, go head to head. Tap has the fastest lap as well with a 3 flat, and he's going to get actually bumped by Geordie. So Geordie not showing any hard feelings for what happened previously. Maybe he feels bad for bumping Tap off, so he gave him a little bump draft there. And Geordie takes P5 and Tap takes P4. Nectar down 2 positions there, with Pyro trying to get past him now as well. They both give each other plenty of room around the final corner, which is very difficult to do actually. But they're going to have to do pretty much the same into turn 1, which is almost an identical corner to the final one. And Pyro goes off track all on his own and loses the spot to Major as well. Major's going to be trying to chase down Nectar here, because Major will have been able to get a better exit out of turn 1. Doesn't look like he's closing the gap too much though. So it's all kicking off here. Looks like Tap is driving away from Geordie. This might be his final lap looking at the fuel. He's got pretty good tyre life, but he's also got a very empty fuel tank, which should be helping him. He's not lugging too many litres of fuel up this very steep hill anymore. What about at the front? Higgsy in the Mercedes AMG. I did say at the beginning of the race, people did think pre-season this was the meta car to be picking for our league, for the way that our calendar's laid out, for the way that our rules are. And Higgsy showing it, to be honest. He started, I think, 4th in the feature, so it's not like he's been able to just run away in the lead. He's got to manage these soft tyres for the rest of the race though. He's got 13 minutes plus probably the extra 2 minutes on top of it to manage them, but it's looking good so far, especially because Pagel is not managing his tyres as well. Woozy isn't too far behind. I think this is a battle for P2 that we want to stick with. Pagel goes unnecessarily defensive there and lets Woozy really close the gap to him, and he's going to have to go defensive into turn 1 again, so this is going to open an opportunity now for Woozy. Potentially, yeah, Tap does go into the pits like we said. So Tap was going for a soft strategy. Potentially could have worked a lot better if, well, without the lap 1 dramas. Maybe a soft medium would have been a better idea. Maybe the Peugeot can't do that though, because it's an MR on a hilly track. Oh, both of them didn't negotiate that section well. One had a lot of oversteer and one had a bit of understeer into the wall there. And Woozy in the wall again, manages to avoid damage though, just grazing the wall. As the track is getting a lot brighter now. absolutely no problems with visibility for these guys now that the sun has come up. Oh, nah. Pagel didn't take it very well, but Woosley took that final corkscrew even worse, and Pagel's gonna survive for now. Geordie on his little recovery there. Remember, he was in first place quite comfortably since the start. He's on soft, so he's going to struggle in the final stages of the race, just like in the first stint as well. Nectar not too far behind. Nectar having a very strong race here in this feature race, pace-wise, because he qualified last, remember, and you know, for someone who qualifies last to be up in the top 5 in the feature, especially starting outside the top 10, it's no mean feat at all. And he sets his quickest time of the race. Hurricane's got the fastest lap. We are setting proper laps now. Hurricane with a 2.3 there. Major some distance behind. Kanata, ooh, Kanata might have a run. We've got the two muscle cars in the tier, the Corvette and the Dodge Viper, going head to head into turn 2. It looks like the Dodge does have a run on the Corvette. I think the straight line speed on the Dodge is very slightly better. Very similar cars though, you've got to say. Both of them have won drivers' titles in ALR. Corvette has won slightly more, as it's always kind of traditionally been better, but maybe the Dodge is potentially better than the Corvette at the moment. Kanata's definitely it looks like he's getting a lot more out of it than Major in this little sequence of corners. Now, how is our lad Pyro doing after his horrible few corners? Well, he's with this group, but yeah, he struggles with the transition from uphill to downhill in that MR, because I think, no one correct me if I'm wrong, but I think the reason that MRs struggle is because all the weight on an FR is at the front, obviously, because you've got the engine there. And let's join this little battle between G-Dan and Major. That was a great move from G-Dan in the Mercedes as well. Remember, we said that the Mercedes is not easy to overtake in a straight line, especially against a Corvette. So something happened to Major there to get that overtake, well, to allow that overtake to happen. Now G-Dan chasing down Kanata. Remember, he's on incredibly fresh soft, so that'll be playing a key factor here as we head down into turn 1, lap 16. So 16, 17, 18, 19. So we've got 4 laps probably for these guys. Maybe 5 for the front 3? We'll see. Kanata going defensive. He really wants to keep hold of this P6, and as soon as G-Dan left the slipstream, he stopped having the overspeed on Kanata and just couldn't pull himself alongside heading into the braking zone. Major really going backwards. He's on medium tyres, that is part of the reason, but another part is that he's hitting the wall just like that, and that's a free position there for Pyro. So Major's strong week is falling apart a little bit. Major is one of the only drivers in ALR to get a double win in Bathurst. So a double win, what I mean by that is you win both the sprint and the feature. He did that, I think it was back in season 5 in tier 3 in the Hyundai Genesis. Used to be a very solid car. This was pre the physics update, so he definitely knows his way around here, and should know better than to be clattering walls like that. And he's losing a bit of ground on Pyro now. Yeah, there's not many people in ALR that have managed to get a double win in at all. I think Whack Jamps has. Cameron, I'm not sure about. Hurricane, I don't think he's got a double win. Tap doesn't. Oh, Tap. Did he hit the wall there? Let's have a little look. He was going very slow. Oh dear. Very, very poor race from Tap. Tap was actually my pick in the draw at the beginning of the season to win Tier 3. I don't think it's going to be happening. He's already going to be very far after a quarter of the season off, and he might get overtaken here by OG Moose King, who doesn't have any damage on his car. Actually hasn't done enough to do it though. Anyway, what's happening at the front? So we've got a battle for P2 between Woozy and Pagel. Woozy's got past Pagel, I'm not sure when, so I'm not going to rewind it because it could have been a long time ago. But yeah, great bit of driving there for Woozy to get past Pagel, and Pagel very close behind, is not wanting to give up that position very easily. Woozy does have slightly better tyres at the moment, but the most worn tyre is very similar, just Woozy's slightly worse. So Pagel conserving his tyres pretty well in this second stint, considering he hit before everyone else. And we've got Higgsy's tyres look fantastic. He's just in cruise control now, surely, until the end of the race. Very dominant win, actually. It's got to be said. Oh dear, Pagel loses it on the grass, manages to avoid the spin. A little bit further down we got Geordie. He's just pretty much on his own. He's got Nectar a couple of seconds back, again with absolutely great tyre life left on that car. Yeah, the Nissan seems to be very good around Bathurst. It just doesn't shed its tyres like the other cars, and that's allowed Nectar to get a really strong result here. Oh, G-Dad gets the... oh dear, right. Let's ride off on Pyro. So these two try to overtake each other in a part of the track that you don't get an overtake done, and G-Dad hits the wall as they go side by side through the hairpin. They get bumped by Pyro, so Pyro should have got that position very easily, but he's just let G-Dad off the hook massively there after clattering into the wall. Oh dear. This has not been the best standard of racing tonight, I've got to say. I haven't really seen many battles where there's been no contact at all, apart from really easy ones into turn 2. The cleanest, I've got to say, probably Woozy and Higgsy. I haven't seen either of them make any mistakes all weekend, especially Woozy, because he won the first race. He's not too far away from getting a win in the second as well. We're 36.5 minutes into the race though, so he's got this lap and another one definitely, and I'm not too sure if they're going to get the final lap in. We'll have to wait and see. Don't be sliding it up the hill. Woozy's tyres are almost completely dead, which is interesting because look at Nectar's. They're in the... Are they in the same car? Oh, I don't know. That's a Nismo. Yeah, that's a Nismo. They're in the same car. They just have different liveries, which doesn't help. But yeah, Nectar's tyre life is much better than Woozy's. Like, significantly. G-Dan with the fastest lap though, and he's all over the back of Kanata again. Remember, he's the one that pit the latest. He led the race very briefly before that, but he's having to make his way through the field. He came out in P10, so he's worked his way up into 7th place already. He could have a nice little run on Kanata here. I think he's close enough to benefit from slipstream, like, properly, even given the Dodge's engine performance, as long as he gets right in the optimal zone for taking advantage of that slipstream. He's closing the gap a little bit now. Let's join Higgsy because I want to see. He started the new lap, but I don't even think he's going to get the final lap. This is going to be a 19-lap race, so this is going to be the final lap for everybody. Higgsy's still in cruise control. Woozy, oh, is going to have a really tricky final lap with that front right tyre. as he goes up and down the hill especially, but he didn't even get turn 1 right. So great chance for Pagel to potentially nick P2 of Woozy, but his tyres aren't doing much better either. Geordie is closing the gap on these guys actually. I haven't seen him this close in a long time. And his tyres are in better condition, so he should be able to. We'll join them a little bit further back in the lap. We've got Kanata and Jidan going wheel to wheel once again. And Kanata really holding up Jidan massively in this second half of the race. Oh, someone's in the wall. I think that might be Pyro. He managed to avoid damage, but he did get the penalty because when you go too wide, you cross the white line, and that is probably making him scream because he's just made loads of mistakes in this race. He had a very good position at the start in the top 3, and maybe wouldn't have won the race. Could have been P2 behind Higgsy. As these guys are so close together. Now they're going to have to try and avoid each other on the downhill section. Oh dear. Now this is the most important corner of the race for Jidan. He has to get the exit spot on here. He hits the wall, so does Kanata, so did Pyro by the sounds of it. And Kanata's going to get away. What about Geordie? He's still not close enough to Pagel. Pagel has a run on Woozy. It's the final chicane of the race, the second to last corner. And he's not going to be able to do it. But what's happened to Geordie? Geordie's off the track. Oh no, he's going to lose the position to Nectar now, surely. Yeah, Nectar's going to sweep through into P4. So let's join Higgsy as he crosses the line. He gets his first victory in Tier 3. Absolutely great result. Miles ahead of everyone else. Woozy is going to get P2 just on the line from Pagel. Then we got Nectar with a very impressive result, P4. Never finished this high in ALR. Geordie, P5. So he only lost 1 position in the end, luckily. And then we got Jidan, who did get past Kanata in the end into P6. Pyro is going to take P8 just ahead of Major. Cameron is going to take the final spot in the top 10. And then Hurricane on completely red tyres 11th. Whack Jamps in 12th. Absolutely anonymous this round. Obviously loses the championship lead. We've got Jamie in 13th. Tap all the way down in 14th. We've got JMS. Oh, well, it was going pretty well for JMS. I don't know what happened to him. He's got very fresh tyres. He's in the wall as we cross the line. I think that explains what happened to him. And then Moose King, horrendous 0 points in the feature race after all that work, all for nothing, struggling with the Viper. And that is it. So, quick look at the standings. Yes, there was one person in Tier 4 who managed to get the final lap in, and that was Otto Ration. So, interesting that Tier 3 couldn't get a final lap, and Tier 4 could. At the front of the standings, Woozy and the Nissan GTR is in the lead by 15 points, massive, ahead of Geordie in P2. Pyro's in P3, despite what we saw just then. And Pagel is in 4th, and Whack Jamps from the championship lead all the way down into 5th now. In the constructors, it's the Nissan guys. Nissan guys are Woozy and Nectar, who we just saw take a great P4. Then McLaren in 2nd, losing their championship lead, which they had quite a commanding one in round 1 because they took a 1-2 in the very first sprint of the season. Toyota in 3rd place, the FT1 boys of Hurricane and Pagel, and the Corvette guys are 4th place. That is Geordie and Major XTC, who have 3 podiums between them. Geordie has a win, Major has 2 P3s, but they haven't been the most consistent over the entire 2 races there. So yeah, that's it for me. Thanks for watching, and next week we are going to be in Sainte Croix. It's going to be an interesting one, and I'll